When the Raptors signed and traded Kyle Lowry to the Miami Heat for Precious Achiuwa and Goran Dragic, it was pretty apparent immediately that Goran Dragic was only involved for salary issues and the Raptors were just going to simply trade him on. But after no trade has happened even today and a buyout is maybe looming, in this video we're going to go over why the Raptors are absolutely not going to buy out Goran Dragic. Let's get into it. Welcome NBA and Raptors fans to Amateur Hour Sports. This is a channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 days a week. That is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. This is your Friday episode. We're talking about a Goran Dragic buyout situation and why it's not going to happen. So if you like what we see from today's video and want more myself talk about the NBA and the Raptors in videos and content just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to show support to the channel. We're so close to 6,000 subscribers. We gotta hit it today. Make sure you guys are supporting the channel if you do enjoy, and check out all the other platforms that we use with the links in the description. But let's get down to the business for today's video, because Goran Dragic situation has been, it was heating up. It's kind of cooling down at this point, but we're now talking about maybe a buyout situation, because Goran Dragic, well, he gets paid a lot of money, and the Raptors, who are rebuilding, don't really need his services within their team. They don't really expect to be true contenders at all in any sort of variation this season, so why not move on from a player like this? Maybe try to bring in some younger assets instead of him and just wipe your hands clean. At least you got Precious Achiuwa in the sign and trade with Kyle Lowry, because the only reason Goran Dragic is here is because of the sign and trade, and we needed to bounce out the salaries. Kyle Lowry's wage is quite high because of the way he just affects winning. Maybe his stats aren't always the most eye-catching things, but Kyle Lowry has such an influence on winning for a team, and this is the anniversary of that amazing Game 6 against the Boston Celtics last year, where we ultimately fall in Game 7, but Kyle Lowry showcasing that he still has it 1 year ago today when he was torching the Boston Celtics, especially with that insane step back fadeaway in overtime over Kemba Walker on some great defense to basically ice the game for the Raptors and force a Game 7. He put the team on his back in that game. But nonetheless, Kyle Lowry wanted to go somewhere else. Miami was a great destination. We wanted Precious Achiuwa. We felt like that was a really good player to bring back. But financially, Precious Achiuwa doesn't make as much money as Kyle Lowry. So we took on Goran Dragic's contract. And when the Miami Heat made the $19.4 million that Goran Dragic owed this season guaranteed, it was pretty obvious that he was going to be the one coming to the Raptors in the Kyle Lowry sign and trade. Because Goran Dragic, how the hell did he end up with that much money? He's Goran Dragic. He's been an all-star before. But that much money for Goran Dragic at this age, it seemed a little bit weird to pay him that much. But the contract came off of the back of what was a phenomenal playoff performance from Goran Dragic as the Miami Heat got to the NBA Finals. Now, unfortunately for Dragic, got injured in those NBA Finals and wasn't really a factor in the finals. I don't think it really would have affected anything. I still think the Lakers win that series in a maximum of 6 games because they were completely stacked that year. Miami, I think, I wouldn't say lucky, but, as a 5 seed, it was a bit surprising to see them go on to the NBA Finals. But because of those great performances and because of the market that was set, it was the same free agency period as Fred VanVleet. Goran Dragic got $18 million last season and the possibility of getting $19.4 million this season. The Miami Heat exercised at $19.4 million before trading him to the Toronto Raptors. So now we're the ones stuck with this contract, and I'm happy that we made this trade. Not upset with the trade. I can handle the $19.4 million because we did get Precious Achiuwa and we did send Kyle Lowry to a destination that he wanted to go to. But we wanted to flip him to the Dallas Mavericks, but there was a big speed bump in that operation when the Dallas Mavericks early on in free agency signed Reggie Bullock, and now the money that they had available to take on that Goran Dragic contract kind of disappeared. And the reason Goran Dragic wanted to go to Dallas, and the reason Dallas wanted Goran Dragic, is because Dragic has a great relationship with Luka Doncic. They are both Slovenian. They've played on the international team together, and Dallas are just trying to find something to bring that team to the next level. And maybe adding in some veteran presence who can take a lot of the playmaking load off of Luka Doncic would have been a great addition to their team. Now, I'm not doubting that the Dallas Mavericks still have an interest in Goran Dragic, but the Raptors and the Dallas Mavericks, the talks have kind of stalled in that discussion. They were kind of still heating up even after the Dallas Mavericks signed Reggie Bullock, but As of today, there really isn't any noise going on. Not that we would hear any noise when it's concerning the Toronto Raptors, a very tight-lipped organization, but we haven't really heard anything about what's going on there, and trade talks seem to have all but disappeared for Goran Dragic. The Dallas Mavericks were probably sending in offers our way, but you know how Masai Ujiri operates. You know how Bobby Webster operates. Unless it is an absolutely prime deal for the Toronto Raptors, they are not going to make the trade, and they're happy to sit on Goran Dragic. So there are a lot of fans clamoring the Raptors to buy out this player, but I'm going to tell you why the Raptors are absolutely, positively not going to buy out this player. The Raptors right now don't really need that cap space. I mean, we're in a rebuild mode, and we're going to be playing our young players regardless of Goran Dragic's presence on the team or not. Now, one of the big problems about Goran Dragic being on the team is maybe he is going to affect the culture a little bit, because he went on TV and said that basically he doesn't want to be here, and then he apologized for it, but he apologized for it while wearing Miami Heat gear. So we don't know how serious he is about being here. It's probably not that serious. He claims to be a professional and he's going to do his job, but still, for this very young and fun team that we have right now with a limited amount of expectations, maybe it is going to affect the culture a little bit. But I think that ultimately the Raptors can sort that out. The $19.4 million is a lot of money, but we don't really need to be spending that anywhere else, because we are not going to be contenders. We don't need to free up that money to bring in other players to strengthen our team, because we're probably not looking to strengthen our team very much. We're just looking to get a lot of touches and a lot of minutes to this young and ascending core, a young and ascending scary core who has a lot of potential down the road 3 or 4 years. Right now, we're not really at the point where we can make those win now sort of trades to get better. So there's no reason to free up the cap space. And another thing is, why would we buy out Goran Dragic, who has stated he doesn't want to be here? Why would we pay him to play for another team? I mean, it doesn't make a difference. You know, we have him on the team right now. We'll have him for a year. His contract will run up. We'll free up that much for the next free agency period, where we can maybe find some good pieces to supplement the core that we already have. But why would we pay him this season to go play somewhere else? It seems to me that is completely counterproductive, because there are teams who want Goran Dragic, and I imagine that the market for Goran Dragic is going to grow as we get towards the trade deadline, even if we can't trade him before the season starts. You know, Goran Dragic statistically wasn't bad last season. He wasn't playing up to like a $19.4 million player, but 13 points per game, 4 assists, decently efficient for point guard by point guard standards. Like, I'm going to take that 3-point percentage. The field goal percentage, I'd like to see it up to about 45, but I can live with around 43, good free throw percentage. There is a market for this player. There are teams who are going to be wanting this veteran guard to help them en route to possibly contending. The Dallas Mavericks are definitely going to be considered in that equation as well. There is going to be a market for him, and there are going to be teams who want this player. Even if we get like one of the most minuscule returns for Goran Dragic, like even if we get just a second round pick, which I think we'll get more than, at least we're getting some sort of asset in return for this player rather than paying him to not play for us anymore. That just doesn't make any sort of sense to me. There's only 1 year on his contract. We may as well just keep him. And it's not like he's not good. He can still perform a role for this Toronto Raptors team. And if we lose him for nothing and we don't have a replacement, I mean, the guard depth isn't what it used to be with the Raptors. We have Fred VanVleet, we have Gary Trent Jr., who I imagine are going to be the starting guards. Malachi Flynn is going to be coming off the bench in the point guard position. I think Goran Dragic will be also coming off the bench in that shooting guard position. Double point guard, there's really no shooting guard with those two on the court. But other than those 4 guys, you're looking at Isaac Bonga to be taken on the load as a backup guard, which I particularly don't want to see. I get that he has some potential, but not in an immediate role in like the first 10 in the rotation. You could also add in Scotty Barnes as like a shooting guard for like that ball handling, like a double point guard system with Malcolm and Scotty Barnes. That I can sort of agree with if the Raptors want to pursue that, but it depends how they want to pursue the developmental process for Scotty Barnes. So there's not a plethora of guard depth, though. Having Goran Dragic may help this team, and I still feel like there is going to be some sort of market for Goran Dragic as we do start to approach the trade deadline. Also, as it comes to the Dallas Mavericks, they have Moses Brown, who I'm sure the Raptors have a keen interest on, but he is not available to be traded until October 1st because he's bounced around already. He's gone from OKC to Boston, Boston to Dallas. Now he can't get traded until October 1st. Maybe the Raptors are waiting for that point. Maybe that is why Goran Dragic has not been traded yet. But Ultimately, Goran Dragic is a solid NBA player. The Raptors could use a solid NBA player, a nice veteran presence for the very young core that they have. There are a lot of other teams in the NBA who could really use a player like Goran Dragic as well, and I'm sure a lot of other teams are going to identify the need for a player like Goran Dragic within their team and might come to us for a trade. Are we going to get a big return? Absolutely not. Goran Dragic is aging and he's making a lot of money. The fact that he's on an expiring deal might help his value a little bit, but he didn't do himself any favors for his value when he went to the media and talked about how he didn't really want to be in Toronto. That was really stupid for Dragic, who wanted to get traded, and now his value plummeted as a result of that. And you're dealing with Masai Ujiri, who is never going to come on the wrong side of a trade on purpose. I mean, he is if he knows he can squeeze a little bit more out of your side for a trade, then he is absolutely going to do it. He is going to play hardball until the very last day. And if it comes down to it and he doesn't get a good trade, then I think he's going to be completely fine just sitting on the player like he did with Kyle Lowry last season. So, as it comes to Dragic, we're not going to pay him that much money to not play for our team and play for somebody else. We can find a deal where we can at least get some sort of asset, some sort of benefit for trading this player. Another team will be happy to take on Goran Dragic for the season, happily let that contract expire, where Goran Dragic is going to be making that much money again. But it seems very against the way the Raptors operate to get nothing for this player and pay him to play for another team. So for that reason, all things considered, the Toronto Raptors are absolutely not going to buy out Goran Dragic. Don't think about it. Don't expect it. And, this is coming just from the way I perceive everything. I don't have my inside sources, but you heard it here. Amateur Sports, Goran Dragic is not being bought out. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. That is the end of this video. Make sure if you did enjoy to like the video to really support the channel on our road to 6,000 subscribers. You can also subscribe yourself, but by liking, you help us reach some new viewers with that YouTube algorithm. Let's hit that 6,000 mark by the end of today. Please, we are so close. Next to me right now are the links to the other channels that we have, amateur clips with the best highlights from our Twitch streams. You also just come to the live streams as well on twitch.tv/amateursports. There's also the link to Amateur Hour TV. That is where we post our vlogs, and we have Raptors fan interviews coming up this week. Make sure you stay tuned for all that content by subscribing to that channel as well. At the end of the day, I believe what I say, and if you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.